Is Toyota withholding their best midsize pickup truck from the US market? Hey, it's Corey, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. I am the new journalist here, and we're going to dive straight into this news story coming from Toyota Europe and Australia. The wraps have come off the 2026 Toyota HiLux pickup truck, their global platform that is usurped here stateside by the fact that we get the Tacoma in North American markets. The Hilux is powered by multiple different powertrains for the 2026 model year, including that forbidden fruit here stateside, the 2.8-liter turbo diesel. They do get a new hybrid variant. Really new for this year is an all-electric variant, and coming in 2028, they expect to see a hydrogen fuel cell variant. And as we scroll through pickuptrucktalk.com, you can see the details on this story. First and foremost, it's an all new platform for Toyota, designed and tested primarily in Australia for their hospitable or inhospitable terrains and markets there. You can see this has a distinct look from what we get here stateside in the Tacoma. They get multiple different variants, including this work truck flatbed variant that we don't get to see because, well, we are so focused on full size pickup trucks here. We have a whole lot more room to roam here. And therefore, our trucks are slightly bigger. But globally, brands like Toyota really put their midsize pickup trucks to work. And this new Hilux is offering a wide range of powertrains, cab configurations, drive configurations, manual and automatic transmissions, and again, that first ever powertrain, electric powertrain option with dual electric motors. But let's get into the specifics of what powertrains are offered. And this is where it gets kind of murky because, well, there's an Australian version, there's a European version, and there are really two different European versions. There's an Eastern European and a Western European. And that really kind of muddies the water here. But the base engine will be a 2.8-liter turbo diesel four-cylinder engine that is replacing the old 2.4-liter unit. It makes approximately 200 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque when paired with the automatic transmission. They do still offer a 6-speed manual transmission, which you can see here is down-tuned a little to 310 pound-feet of torque. But that is not the only engine option. That will be the only one really available in Australian markets, but the 2.7-liter gasoline four-cylinder will be available in Eastern European markets. See how it gets a little confusing based on where you are. The hybrid system is paired to that turbo diesel engine, the 2.8-liter turbo diesel engine, and is set to be the volume seller for most of Europe. That is really where they are putting their eggs in for combustion engines. And it will be mated, again, 48-volt hybrid system mated to that 2.8-liter turbo diesel engine, rated for right at 2,200 pounds of max payload, which is very impressive, and about 7,700 pounds of max towing while still being efficient in the process. Now, European markets and regulations, diesels vary greatly. You know, we've got DEF fluid and all that stuff required here for stateside diesels. So, not expecting this diesel to find its way stateside. But the biggest news here is the all-electric variant, pushed as the primary truck of choice for all of Europe and as a fleet option for Australia. This electric pickup truck is quite interesting in how they go about it. First and foremost, Europe is a much more geographically dense continent than we are here stateside. They don't have to travel as far, so they make do with a smaller battery. Here you can see we have a 59.2 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery, much smaller than what we see in a lot of stateside EVs. especially EV pickup trucks. The Ford F-150 Lightning, for example, has a much larger battery. But along with that lithium ion battery, we have two electric drive motors, or e-axles, as Toyota calls them, one on the front, one in the rear. All EV models will be all-wheel drive, obviously, and they don't give horsepower numbers, but they do give torque numbers for both e-axles. The 151 pound-feet of torque up front and 198 pound-feet of torque out back. Good for an estimated 1,500 pounds of max payload and 3,500 pounds of max towing. Again, Europeans are a little bit different. They're pulling small campers, things of that nature. But yes, this really will be the volume vehicle of choice, what Toyota is really pushing for the European market. With that smaller battery, you are going to see shorter range estimates. Now, the EU does measure EV range a whole lot different than the EPA does here stateside. So they use the WLTP cycle, which we've got colleagues at the TAE and go in detail about just how bogus the WLTP cycle is, but expect around 150 miles of range from that smaller lithium ion battery. Again, much more geographically dense, much more EV ready with a better charging infrastructure. And then coming in 2028, they are expecting a hydrogen fuel cell variant that will just propel the Toyota effort of going emission free just a little bit further. Not a lot of details are out on this fuel cell vehicle other than a 2028 expected delivery date. So we'll see exactly what comes of it there. Otherwise, as far as capability, we still have a body-on-frame pickup truck here. This isn't a unibody truck, so we have a fully boxed ladder frame on it. They've readjusted the suspension components for better electronic steering components. And then we have the multi-terrain select, which we see here on our Tacoma pickup trucks that can adjust your throttle response, traction control, a bunch of different things for off-roading. So expect full off-road capability from the new HiLux pickup truck overseas. And then the design, very unique design. It takes a very big departure from what we see on the stateside Tacoma, and they're calling it the Cyber Sumo design. The design inspiration, of course, led by the Australian version leg of Toyota's design team, but consulted with their Thailand and Japanese based counterparts because, again, this is a global pickup truck that we just don't see here stateside. The interior, however, does look very similar to a lot of what we get here stateside. We see the steering wheel borrowed from the new Land Cruiser. We see infotainment borrowed from many other Toyota products, but expect all the same connectivity on the inside, full digital gauge cluster like we see on Tacoma, and a Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as connectivity options. Now, this is a very important vehicle globally for Toyota. You can see here the Australian version with its flatbed work truck. Mid-size pickup trucks are the right size globally for handling all work duties. And of course, here stateside, we see that from big full-size pickup trucks. So you can see, yes, this is a very important global pickup truck from there, meant to do it all. Hence, all the different powertrain options from hybrid to diesel to gas to electric to fuel cell. Lots of different options there for global markets. For US buyers, what does this mean here stateside? Well, not a whole lot. This really does kind of follow what we've been seeing here stateside from Toyota. Them launching the new hybrid variant of the Hilux does follow a lot of what we see with the iForce Max hybrid version of the Tacoma. They're stuffing the battery under the back seat, doing a lot of the same things we see here stateside. I'm not holding my breath on an all electric Tacoma now that the current administration has really slowed down EV adoption here stateside by discontinuing the tax credit. In fact, Tim has a whole story on what the future looks like for the Ford F 150 Lightning with the tax credit going away and sales seemingly coming to a screeching halt. So you can definitely check out Tim's story there. But yes, don't expect an all electric Tacoma, though it is something that Toyota could pull the trigger on if the political climate changed or if demands changed here stateside. Now, availability again, this is a European market and Australian market vehicle. Next month is when they are planning to start rolling these out. The EV is again a really big push for Europe, with the turbo diesel a really big push in Australia. And again in 2028, we plan to see that hydrogen fuel cell. But you can see here we've got various different images on the website for you to check out and see just a little bit further of what this design looks like. Again, it is a fairly blatant departure from what we see on the Tacoma, and the interior does borrow heavily from Land Cruiser and other global Toyota products. Let us know what you think in the video comments down below. That is about all I've got here, and I will see you down the road.